The next chore to do is called indoor watering. And in order to do the indoor watering, we're going to come over to this hose reel against the wall and turn on the water. You'll see the hose start to fill up with water, and when you squeeze the nozzle, water will come out. So the first thing I'm going to teach you is watering plug trays, specifically plug trays that have domes over them. And the best way to do that is to change the nozzle to mist. Shoots a fine mist. And first, I'm going to go over this plug tray and gently water over top of these tender seedlings. Give it a good 10 to 20 seconds of watering to ensure that all parts of the plug tray are watered. And now for the plug tray with the dome, you're going to want to carefully remove the dome and do the same misting over the plants. When you are done misting, please take the dome and carefully put it back in place, making sure that you're not crushing any of the foliage of the seedlings inside the plug tray. When looking at individual plug trays, it's important to learn the difference between wet soil and dry soil. Up here in the corner, you can see some soil that's quite dry. It's very crumbly, it's flaky, and once you dig down a little bit, you can see that it's really still dry. There's no moisture down there. Now, if you contrast that to this plug, there's quite a bit more moisture, everything's saturated, and it stays together a little bit better. It's not as crumbly, it's more cohesive. And as you dig down, you notice even moisture going down into the plug there. So ideally, when you're watering these plug trays, you want to be watering all the corners, every single cell evenly, until they're all evenly moistened. Take your time and do this very thoroughly. And I am using the mist function. For the house plants, like those on the wall over there, those on the rack, and these on the wall over here, you can swap the nozzle to shower mode. But be careful, because when you squeeze the nozzle on shower mode, quite a bit of water comes out. So I like to squeeze it just a little bit so that it's a more gentle shower, and then carefully do each one of these house plants until they're evenly moistened, about 1 to 3 seconds per pot. Make sure to get as much of the water into the pot without spraying all over the place. To reach other parts of the greenhouse, you can uncoil hose from this hose reel, and that will definitely allow you to reach all the way over to the opposite wall here. Occasionally there will be pea shoots growing in these trays on the racks. And when you water these pea shoots, you want to use the shower function and just carefully water over top of them a little bit at a time, just like you're watering the house plants. So a nice fine shower, getting all the plants up to the corners, and then that's about it. You really don't want to see a lot of water pooling in this trough. You'd rather have the water concentrated on top of the plants. So a good water up and down the racks, maybe 10 to 30 seconds total. And of course you have to do this per rack. So there's 3 total racks on one of these carts, and oftentimes they will both be full of pea shoots. While you're still doing indoor plants with the hose, what I like to do is come over to the worm bin and take care of the worms chore. And step 1 is shifting from whatever setting you were on over to mist, and then removing the lid from the worm bin. You'll notice that there are several pieces of paper right on the surface. Now, the main job you're gonna be doing here is moistening these pieces of paper with the mist function. Like so. Get all the corners. And then please make sure to also get, if you lift up, you'll see that it's still quite dry under there. So please pull back some of the pieces of paper and moisten all the way, all parts of all pieces of paper. When you're all done with that, you can go ahead and put the paper back how it was and put the lid back on the worm bin. Once you have finished moistening the paper in the top portion of the worm bin and you've replaced the lid on top, make sure to check the worm tea catchment, which is this cup right here that lives right below the spigot. You'll notice that it gets quite full sometimes. And if it does, what you'll want to do is take it out of the front door and dump all of the contents of this little plastic cup amongst the horseradish plants. Like so. And then take the empty vessel and put it back in place, ensuring that it is directly below the spigot. Sometimes it's like this, that will do nothing. Make sure it's right underneath that spigot to catch all the drops of liquid. Thank you. Lastly, when you're finished watering all of the plants and the worm bin, please ensure that you turn off the water valve by cranking it all the way down in the clockwise direction until it is off. And also coil the hose back onto the hose reel. You notice there's a different hose than when we started the video, but no matter what the hose is, please coil it back onto this hose reel right here and leave the nozzle right there.